excited to play LSU. They're playing extremely well, really well coached. Their offensive line is playing lights out. Jaden Daniels is their guy, and obviously have a plethora of wide receivers. Defensively, great defensive line, playing well, playing really good. Obviously, they've got a couple kids that transfer from here in Brooks and Fouché, who's playing well over there for them. I love their linebackers. Just got a really good team. There's a reason why they're top of the West right now, and we're looking forward to the challenge, though, at home at 11 on Saturday.
First up, we have Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, good morning, Sam. Just checking on how he looked at practice yesterday and what you're maybe expecting from him this week.
Well, I still, again, that's still, a few days away. KJ threw some on Monday, not much at all yesterday. I don't know exactly, Tom, what he'll do today, but that's still kind of a fluid situation. I will say this, that Malik Hornsby's had a really good week of practice. The team's confident in him. And so either way, whatever happens, whether we play KJ or whether we play Malik, we'll feel like we'll have a guy that can go back there, the team believes in, and execute our game plan. But there hasn't been a whole lot of change from last week to this week, except for KJ's thrown a little bit more than what he did last week.
Okay. And looking back to last year's game, they held you guys to fewer total yards than anybody, and it's KJ's escapability that really made the play of that game. And I wonder if a healthier KJ maybe gets out of the pocket a little more than he did, say, against Liberty last week,
I think so. And, it's not only the athletic ability, it's the strength of your mind, and when you're beat up and you haven't practiced as much and things of that nature. I think that goes a long way as well, Tom, in your performance. A lot of it has to be how do you feel in the head. And I think KJ's in a lot better spot than he was a week ago. But I do believe the team believes in Malik as well. And we certainly do too. So, yes, he made a great play. LSU basically dared us to throw the ball and had to get it out of our hand fast because they totaled us. They brought more than we could protect. That was their game plan. It worked well against us last year. They'd run it the week before when they played Alabama and had success, so they used it again against us. But, yes, very talented team, and they basically played sickle ball last year against us, and they're playing extremely well this year.
Next is Scotty Bordelon of hogsports.com.
Hey, Sam, what are the components you would say of a quality two-point conversion play? I ask because I guess people can see it maybe two different ways. You're just at the three, but at the same time, the field is significantly more compressed than usual in those situations.
You're asking me what? I'm sorry.
The components of a pretty quality two-point conversion play.
Well, a lot of times, you're looking at leverage. If you're throwing the football, you're looking at leverage. I like a two-point play where you have a run-pass option off of it. But the first thing you're doing is looking at leverage and matchups, I think, in throwing it. I like to run the ball a lot. Obviously, we've done that. We've also tried to shovel pass and roll out and different things. But 3 yards, you look at the box numbers. If the box number's there and you feel like you can block them, then, you'll run it. If not, it's not a whole lot different than a normal play that you would be check to check. The difference is you don't have the space. And certainly your DBs aren't playing off as much and things of that nature. You've got to be able to win one-on-one matchups. You're not going to get any zone-type coverage at that point. And so those are things that we look at.
Appreciate that. And secondly, Trey Knox leads you in touchdown catches this year. I'm just curious of your impressions of his season and just his importance as a whole in your offense.
Very, very important. I think he's an unsung, valuable player on our team. Certainly catching the ball extremely well. Made some timely catches for us this year on third downs, obviously some touchdown situations, and runs extremely well after the catch. I can remember BYU, we threw it short. He made a really nice run to get us going on that drive. But I've been really pleased with him. He's taken going to tight end. I think he's taken his game to a new level, and I feel like he'll be a kid that will be draftable. And I think that's a real testament to him. And he's a very smart kid, and testament to him and his work ethic.
Thanks, Sam.
Next is Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South.
Hey, Sam. What kind of impact has Jaden Hazelwood made on your team since coming over from Oklahoma?
I think you take away, obviously he's done well on the field, and he's blocked well, caught the ball well. His major impact on our team is what he did for the receiver room. I think you ask Keytron Jackson and Landers and some of those guys, I think he's influenced that in toughness and work ethic, and as an entire team, I think that he brings that toughness, the competitiveness, because he's been hurt as well, but he doesn't miss anything, and he's brought a lot to us in intangibles that I just spoke about, and really, really happy that he's on the team.
He told me that you didn't have to recruit him, that your pitch was just you being you. Is it fair to say that your celebration, your typical yes, sir, was pretty much on point when you found out he was coming to Arkansas?
Yeah, it really was. Very excited about him. And, sometimes the change helps kids, and certainly sometimes it doesn't. But I just felt like through his work ethic, we could make him comfortable with myself and Coach Smith being here. And I just thought we would hit the jackpot if we were able to get him. And we in our opinion, we certainly have.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
Next is Steve Moulton, WZZN.
Coach, appreciate the time. Hope you're doing well today, sir.
Doing good, Steve. Thank you.
Just taking a look at that Alabama-LSU film, was that as efficient you've seen LSU execute this season, Coach?
It really was. Daniels, Jaden, he handled the game. I mean, he handled the game plan. Obviously, their plan was to throw the ball. I don't think they ran it, but maybe 20 times in the entire game. But he was efficient, made people miss, made big plays. I thought him and the offensive line were the difference in that game, offensively, defensively. I really like their front. Their front four is really good, I think. And obviously, Brooks and Joe are playing well in the back end as well. But I like their ability to rush the passer, their ability to stop the run with their two, what I think are outstanding D tackles, and their linebackers can really run. Harold Perkins is going to be a highly drafted kid. He's a really good player, and they're just playing well as a team, playing inspired, well coached, and therefore that's why they, beat some really good teams over the 3 weeks.
So with that being said, Coach, where do you feel like your offensive line is at the moment with, as you mentioned, a pretty big challenge with LSU's front seven?
Well, I think any time that you don't play well, and our line has not played well, not very many times, but I don't want to discredit Liberty because they whipped us, so let's get that first and foremost. But with that being said, we didn't play well, and I think you go back to work. You hopefully you strain harder. Your eyes are up better. The physicality part of it gets back to where we have been. I think if we get back to where we have been, it's going to be a hell of a battle on Saturday. But that's our offensive line. They're not quitters. They're not pouters. They know they didn't play well. I think they'll come out and play play well on Saturday, but they're going to have to because, as you just said, LSU's front seven is very, very talented and very physical.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, it's going to wrap you up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Certainly, with the success that we've had, we've entered into a new part of how we think, and our team needs to now handle success, and that means preparing the right way, avoiding distractions, and really working on what they've been good at, and that is day to day. Certainly preparation, their practice, being better at all the details. And so we hope to continue that as we get ready for another great offense in Arkansas. It seems each and every week. In the SEC, you've got to prepare for dynamic players, and we'll have a challenge again going to Fayetteville on the road in the SEC, playing a well-coached, very, very difficult team to play offensively. They mix things up on defense. So, again, handling success, preparing the right way, and then playing another outstanding offensive team on the road in the SEC will be a great challenge for us.
We'll begin with Bob Holt of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Brian. I know you're obviously new to LSU and the SEC. There's a lot of rivalries, but this is a trophy game. What kind of sense do you get for how big a rival Arkansas is for LSU?
No, I think there is a rivalry. I mean, obviously, we lost the trophy last year in overtime, and it means a lot to our guys, each and every week. There's such a great history and tradition that, you hear about these games, from Florida to Mississippi and the Magnolia Trophy, and certainly this week as well. The Golden Boot is one that, the guys know about, and it's important. So they want to get that trophy back. So each and every week it's been exciting because for me it's new, but it's great to know the history and tradition of each one of these. And, there's no question that it is important.
And with Joe Fouché and Greg Brooks obviously playing their old team, what sense have you gotten from them about what this game means to them? Have they maybe been able to help you with maybe some scout on KJ Jefferson or other offensive guys for Arkansas?
No, they're from Louisiana, and so, I think it's really about, playing for LSU and not anything to do with Arkansas, really. And look, there's not a whole lot you can do. You've got to defend a dual threat quarterback. There's this, you can only imagine. They didn't have much success defending him in practice, so we didn't spend too much time asking about it. We know we've got to do a great job with 11 players defending KJ.
Thanks.
Next is Scooter Hobbs of the Lake Charles American Press.
Coach, this Harold Perkins, y'all been able to bring him along, get him on the field more and more, I assume give him more responsibility. How did that process work? And if I could go ahead and get in a follow-up, was there a time in August, a moment that the coaches, y'all really knew you had something in him?
Yeah, so the process was that, he came in as an inside linebacker, and I think we identified early on that, that was going to take longer for us to get him into the rotation on the field. So we moved him to an outside linebacker position, which we felt like was an easier fit for him to pick up what we wanted. Because we could put him into different packages, third down packages, nickel packages, dime packages. And then as it evolved to the point where he was making plays and being productive, we had to get to the point where we had base defenses with him on the field. So this was about giving him as much as he could handle and then getting the best 11 players. So there was an evolution here along the way. But I think we found out early on that this was a young man that definitely needed to get on the field, and then we had to figure out how to do that without putting too much on him.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Next is Tom Murphy of the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette.
Hey, Brian, I was looking through the LSU notes, and it says your teams have won your last 17 games in November, and a lot of them by dominating fashion. I wonder what's the secret sauce in getting better as the year goes on and this November streak.
Good players. You're going to have good players. I think it's really about starting this process with an eye towards making sure that, November is when you want to be your best. And so January, February, March, all those months have to be measured. And it's a long year. And so you got to be careful in the way you train. And taking a 365-day view at this with an idea that you want your team peaking in November and December. I think that's how I've tried to do it. And use a little bit of the science to help you look at player loads and making sure your team's getting stronger with your weight training program during the year. Nutrition, fatigue, all those things play a part, and I think a little bit of the science helps you with that as well, and making sure your kids are mentally and physically not overloaded and fatigued.
Okay, so Arkansas is rocking along at about 240 yards a game, rushing and passing, and then they faced Liberty, which did some things that stunted their run game. I wonder what impressed you about what you saw from that, and are there things you guys do that might fold into that? Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, I think Liberty obviously is a well-coached football team. But I think Arkansas just didn't execute as well as they have executed in weeks past. So I think it was a little bit of both. I think it was Liberty, playing well and playing aggressively. I thought that they crowded the line of scrimmage and maybe took advantage of some things that by playing aggressively at the line of scrimmage that made it difficult to run the football. And then I think Arkansas, obviously didn't have their best game. And so I think it was a little bit of both.
Next we'll go to AP Stedham with WHEP. AP, go ahead.
AP, we can't hear you.
All right, he's got a bad connection, operator, so we'll go to the next. Let's go to Jake Lejeune of Gridiron Football. Jake Lejeune, sorry.
No problem. Good morning, Coach. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You too.
So my first question, Coach, is I know you're a part of many great football atmospheres over your career, especially at Notre Dame. But where does this past Saturday's just football atmosphere just rank in your coaching career?
I think it was one of the best sustained atmospheres that I've coached in, and I think what separated was the sustained atmosphere. I think the play was so good on both sides of the ball that it just engaged the fans for 4 quarters. Usually there's kind of an up and down where there's a bit of a lull in the game, but the way the kids played on both sides of the ball, they were on their edge of the seat the entire game, and it just created, one of those special nights in Death Valley that people have written about and talked about, and I was fortunate to be part of.
And my second question, Coach, if I may, it's been incredible how the team has bounced back from the Tennessee game, and just from that moment, was there any certain practice or moment or a couple moments that you really truly saw the light switch being turned on for this football team?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it was in their preparation after Tennessee, recognizing that what they thought that they were giving was not enough in terms of being intentional. You know, I think that there's the old adage, don't mistake activity for achievement, and although they were working hard, they needed to be much more intentional in the way they did things. And I think that after the Tennessee game, they kind of found that out, that that just working is not enough. You have to be so intentional in your work, and I saw that pick up after the Tennessee game, and you could see it in our preparation.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Next we'll go to Scotty Bordelon of hogsport.com.
Hey, Brian, thanks for your time today. I'm curious what's jumped out to you about B.J. Ojulari since you've been with him, and just what kind of an impact he's made on this team in particular.
You know, he's a leader by example. He works hard, does the right things on and off the field, sets a great example. So, you know, when you're talking about culture change, when you're talking about standards and doing things differently, you need a couple of guys early on that kind of set that example by the way they do things. And he was one of those guys for me that early on just was all in. And then obviously he plays so hard, doesn't take plays off. Go back to the Auburn game where he came up with a strip sack that changed the momentum of the game. It was a leader's kind of play where effort was needed in the time of the game where we needed a big play, and he stepped up. That's what he does. I mean, he leads by example, great effort, and shows it, you know, in the way he does things on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you.
We're out of time, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.